Welcome my Varieties 2 students to another lecture on the language of the press. Today we're going to move to the second type of newspapers, which are quality newspapers. Remember that in the very first lecture we talked about that there are two types of newspapers, popular newspapers and quality newspapers, and we saw in the previous lectures that popular newspapers characterized for being informal, highly subjective, and it contains many deviant rules of language. It's very it's very commercial, that it would use any means in order to sell more, and we saw like the range of topics that are of interest to popular newspapers, like scandals and investigating the private life of celebrities and people, maybe very light news about social life or events or movies and so on. Most of the news are less serious and not really of any way, and it targets through the entertainment. Okay, it's very entertaining, like people would read this during their leisure time. Okay, fine. For the quality newspaper, now we're moving to a completely or a dramatically different type of newspapers, where formality and I would say traditionality play a role in the composition of the articles that are in quality newspapers. So let's find more about this type of newspapers. Start with, while you're doing your stylistic analysis to quality newspapers, keep in mind that it is the language used in this type of newspapers is the language of formality, clarity, and precision. Okay, so this is important. The English of quality newspaper. Quality newspapers are the formal type press. They are called quality because they are formal, serious, and respectable in terms of material, language, and style. These and other points about this subvariety can be traced in the following stylistic analysis of the two examples taken from The Times, number 46, 727, Friday, August the 20th, 1993. Alright, so remember referencing and citing whenever you analyze any kind of article or front page or whatever, to focus on citing and referencing. The first level of analysis we're going to deal with is the layout. First of all, titling. Before we start our analysis to the text, please, I would ask you to go to page 104, figure 2. Okay, just put it in front of you, and while I'm doing my analysis, you read, and of course, before doing the analysis, you have to read it. I'm sorry that the copy of your textbook is not really clear. Mine too, and it's not your fault and it's not my fault. It's, I don't know whose fault, but anyway, I have tried my best to read it. I've tried to come up with any kind of clear sentences or paragraphs. This is quite hard, but anyway, try your best to read and to link those words that are not clear. Okay, this is because of the poor quality of xeroxing. Anyway, like popular newspapers, titles or headlines are greatly important in quality newspapers. They are versatile. In figure 2, page 104, there are three types of headlines, all in bold type. But the middle one, that is to say, BBC may be forced to cut license fee, is the most prominent and the largest because it carries the central item of news in the article. The upper one, Brook to Consider News Report, is short, crisp, and smaller type to leave more room to focus on the central one. The lower subtitle, the license fee could be reduced until the end, is the longest type in smaller size to give greater detail about the article and question. You know that in every central headline we have a subheading. The subheading usually is quite long sentence that gives the most important information about the article to come. Okay, so it's also important, but normally it's written in smaller size, but it's written in bold. Okay, and it's put in a box. This is to show its emphasis and its importance and significance. The function of such variation of headlines is to attract the reader's attention and give the gist of the head news of the article and at the same time of the whole front page. Such graphological aspects of titles means a variation of emphasis on news. The importance of headlines is shown according to the font size and the other typographical effects such as capitalization, bold facing, and so forth. Okay, so the first function is to attract the readers. So we have a variation of headlines, big and small, and italics or underlined, and also they have a functional function there, which is to give the gist of the news, that is the crux of the head news. And it goes without saying that the importance of the headline is expressed through the size or through the typographical effects such as capitalization or bold facing. As for paragraphing, paragraphs are meaningful divisions of any piece of writing. Quality newspaper projects somehow an organized type of writing. Paragraphs are well organized. Many of them have some kind of introduction, amplification, and conclusion. Of course, this isn't the case when we studied the aspects of popular newspaper. So you see here the difference between these two types of newspaper. In figure 3, that's on page 106, we note that paragraphs are longer than those of popular newspaper. The second and the third paragraphs are comparatively even longer. Most of the paragraphs are clearly organized into introductions, amplifications, and conclusions. However, paragraph 1, 3, and 5, for example, are one sentence only. Okay, so in paragraph 1, like inspectors will today hope to begin examining the roof collapse at Pilstraub, a colliery that killed 3 men, amid growing concern that an unusual or unsuitable support method may have been to blame. Now this is paragraph 1. It's made of one sentence. Alright, so some of the features of popular newspapers do exist here as well. The relative organization of paragraphs has two main functions. First, to reflect the seriousness of the whole article, and second, to stress the formality. Remember, please, when performing analysis of any text, it is of paramount importance to pinpoint and highlight every feature, whether it is marked or unmarked, normal or abnormal, because it affects the overall analysis of the whole text and gives a better account about the nature of the text and its general aspects and style. As far as punctuation is concerned, in quality newspapers, punctuation marks are used formally, normally, and therefore unmarkedly. There is nothing significant about punctuation in quality newspaper. The function of such unmarkedness is to point out the formality of style and to avoid the frequent interruption of the flow of reading. This is in turn helps the reader concentrate better on what he reads. Okay, so there is nothing unmarked, nothing special about punctuation. It's used normally and formally. One remarkable aspect also of quality newspaper is that recently, in fact, there has been an increasing employment of colorful pictures and photographs, especially in association with leading article and the back page central article. A frequent use of colors is also noticed now on the inside pages. But before, quality newspapers are known for their, for their colorless aspect, is that they never use any kind of colors, whether in front or back pages. But modern nowadays quality newspapers, they have started to use colors, that is to say chromatics, in their newspapers. The function of such coloring of pictures is not only to attract and satisfy the reader's mind and curiosity, but also to relate facts to real life. In terms of typography, we remark that the first word of the articles is always capitalized. Now, if you go back to the articles in figure 3, okay, or in figure 2, or in figure 1, okay, that's on page 102, you would find a boy age 13. You see, a boy. Now this is the first word in the article. It is wholly capitalized. The same applies to the second article, figure 2. We have the BBC. Okay, the BBC also, it's wholly capitalized. The last one, figure 3, we have inspectors. The inspectors are, this word is wholly capitalized. So this is an important remark that you should put it in your mind. Italics, bold facing, and other typographical devices are used for one and the same function, that is to say emphasis. Whenever you find a word that is in italics, a word that is bold-faced, underlined, or whatever, it means that this word of paramount importance, so you reader should pay attention to this. Now we will go to another crucial level here, grammar. Sentence structure. Let's see how sentences are in quality newspapers. Sentences are complex and long in quality newspapers. The majority of sentences in figure 3, for example, are long, complex, and sometimes complicated. For example, the first paragraph is made of one sentence. it is a one sentence long. Now, this sentence is complex, complicated, and unusually long. It's not only long but also complicated, as the following analysis shows. Now, if you go to the paragraph in front of you, so see, inspectors will today hope to begin examining the roof collapse at, okay, Belathrop. I'm sorry, spelling the word here because the copy is not really clear in my book. Okay, so this is a whole sentence. Belathrop colliery, then, okay, so inspectors will today hope, that's the main clause, to begin examining until colliery, that's subordinate clause, that killed 3 men is another subordinate clause, amid growing concern that until to blame, that's the third subordinate clause. Now this is a super complex kind of sentence. So such complexity of sentence structure has the function of making information condensed, keeping the tempo of reading flowing and concentrated without any breakdowns or interruptions. Moreover, complexity of sentences or a complexity of sentence structure is a prominent feature of high formality. As for tense, the use of present simple, just like popular newspapers, quality newspapers use the present simple in the title to refer to the past, present, or future. Now, take these examples. A devastating earthquake hits India. Okay, of course, the devastating earthquake already hit India, but this suggests something that happens in the past, but still we express it by using present simple. United Manchester team prepares themselves for the upcoming match. This is for the present. Negotiators meet next week. This also refers to the future. So the function of this special use of present simple to save space and the title in particular. Okay, this is all about saving spacing and for keeping brevity. Another feature of tense is the use of to infinitive to for or to write actually headlines. One of the prominent and recurrent stylistic features of the newspaper's headlines is the use of the to infinitive in reference to future. The Prime Minister is to meet Queen this month. The US is to run presidential elections soon. So the function of this use is to always be concise and save space. Another remarkable feature is the use of perfect tense. Perfect tenses, especially the present perfect tense, are used in abundance as well, like may have been to blame, has clearly proved, has failed, has established. So you see, these are some of the examples that are found in figure 3. Okay, these are according to their, and the numbers in the brackets are according to their lines, the number of lines. So the use of perfect tense is a prominent feature of formal style. When it comes to voice, the active voice is usually used in the language of newspapers of any type. But quality newspaper make a frequent use of passive as an indication of 3 main functions. To demonstrate an interest in events only when the doers of actions are insignificant or made so by the newspaper. For example, the president was elected by 52%. Okay, of course he was elected by people. to endow an atmosphere of objectivity of reporting news. So I don't have to show the doers and so on. The use of roof bolting to be banned, of course, to be banned by the authorities, and to stress the formality of style of quality press, okay, because always the use of passive form indicates a kind of formality and objectivity. As far as vocabulary is concerned, the formality of style and other distinctive stylistic features of quality newspapers are also clear in the types of words and expressions used, as the following analysis demonstrates. Okay, and here you will see how a popular newspaper and quality newspaper, they are poles apart, different in terms of the use of vocabulary. For word formations, unlike popular newspapers, where there is heavy use of inventing word formations like ha ha ha, got it wrong again, there is nothing unusual about word formation in quality newspapers, and this reflects the sense of conservatism in style. As for colloquialism, colloquial words and expressions are not as common as they are in popular newspapers. We can note the following contractions like don't, haven't, doesn't are not commonly used in quality newspapers, except in quotations for people cited in the reporting. There are examples in the last two paragraphs of figure 3 of don't and won't. Okay, so you see here the example in the last paragraph. It is a quotation from someone. So I understand you don't think your husband is going to work at 5 in the morning and won't be coming back. Okay, and it's put between two inverted commas because these are reporting speech. So we are not, this is not the writer's writings, but this is a report from a sayer. So let's move to the second slide. As far as for the phrasal verbs are commonplace in quality newspaper, and they are not an indication of low style because a large set of phrasal verbs are becoming part of standard formal English. For example, from figure 3, brought into or held up. Okay, so in these are two examples that are found in figure 3, page 106. As for the rhetorical figures, figures of rhetoric like metaphor, simile, and personification are widely used. They are more prestigious when compared to those of popular newspapers. For example, donkey work is a metaphor, that is to say hard work. It is a metaphor that can be expected in popular newspaper. It can be used, but it can never be used in quality newspaper because it is colloquial and of low standard. So rhetorics add flavors of interest to the language. They entertain the reader and make the style more appealing and pleasing, and language less boring. As for biased and unbiased vocabulary, quality newspapers aims at using unbiased, objective vocabulary. Still, biased and subjective vocabulary are sometimes spotted and found. The only difference between vocabulary of popular newspaper and quality newspaper in this respect is that in popular press, bias is harsher and sharper because of the use of bad, insulting words. However, in quality news papers, they would be biased, but however, they would always use euphemistic kind of expressions. So the normal function of biased vocabulary is to affect the reader's attitude in favor of or against of someone or something or an idea. Whenever you find any biased expressions or articles, they target or they tend to change the reader's opinion. Okay, I'm trying to persuade you to change your opinion about this thing or this person. Both acronyms and abbreviations common in quality newspaper, just like in popular newspapers. The prime function of using them is to save space. All right, that's for brevity purposes. The last aspect that we are about to talk about is phonology. In quality newspapers, phonology is surprisingly of no importance because of the seriousness of news and context. This type of press surpasses and overlooks the interest in rhythmic language and harmonious, sentences or the harmony of sounds. However, there are always exceptions. Headlines, for example, might be rhymed in some way, as the example in Figure 2 shows. BBC may be forced to cut license fee. As shows, BBC and B are rhymed with fee. Such use may attract the readers and make the news resonate in their mind.